Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to the third quarter award ceremony, and this time around we're going to have a promotional ceremony also. Let's go ahead and get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, I'd like to thank Interim Assistant City Manager Jesus Morejo for being here. Thank you, sir. And we'll get started with the service citations.
All right, we'll get right into it. Service citation for 5 years, Reserve Officer Frank Sisto. Good job, Frank. For 10 years, there's a couple of them, so please hold your applause till the end. Officer Keith Boham, Officer Mike Casey, Detective James Jones, Officer Josh Mahler, Financial Specialist Julie Alt, Records Specialist Isabel Rodriguez Holder. Boham must have got hired when he was about 12. Look how young he looks. "15 years, we have Sergeant Tara Pavelsham and Officer Robert Steinkraus. Those folks are in service right now out handling calls. That's why they're not here. 20 years, I know he's here, Assistant Chief William Vega, and Officer Richard Wilson. And 30 years, believe it or not, Acting Lieutenant Rod Dobler and Record Specialist Denise Marango. Next is the Educational Achievement Award, and this is very difficult for adult learners, especially people working full-time, but we have Sergeant Aaron Martin earned his Bachelor of Science degree, Officer Nick Lavecchio earned his Bachelor's of Art degree, and Officer Jesse McInerney earned his Associate's of Science degree. Come on up, guys. Next awards for Administrative Excellence for the third quarter of 2016. Tom Andrew, come on down, Tom. Tom, based on a nomination submitted by Administrator Bill May, you've been awarded the Administrative Excellence Award for the third quarter of 2016. Tom, during this quarter, you have successfully initiated a parking enforcement class as well as a community policing class. Coordinating and executing these trainings takes a great deal of organization and determination. You were able to recruit, design, develop, and implement these classes with the utmost finesse and professionalism. You managed the volunteer program in an efficient and well-thought-out manner. You always strive to improve this already prestigious program, and you make certain that you only recruit quality individuals to join the volunteer program. It's because of these above reasons and so many more that you've received the Administrative Excellence Award for the third quarter of 2016. Congratulations, Tom. Next is a Civic Award for Tracy Diaz. Come on down, Tracy. Tracy, over the past year, you've played an integral part in several cases that have required creative solutions. You have consistently gone out of your way to make yourself visible to the detectives within the department and to continually provide information regarding various programs to which you have access. An example is when you were presented with an at-risk youth. It was apparent that there were ongoing issues between the mother and the juvenile. You provided updates and acted as a liaison between our department and the child. Without hesitation, you mentored this child several times and accompanied detectives to the school to speak with the juvenile. You worked with the state of Florida on keeping this child from being placed long-term with the Department of Juvenile Justice and ensured that the juvenile was not lost in the system. In August of 2016, you assisted a family with 5 children, where one of the children was hospitalized. During the investigation, the family willingly took full custody of the father's 2 biological children that were hospitalized with an illness. You bought the children toys and crafts out of your own pocket. You provided the family information regarding which social programs were available to them, and you played an essential role in obtaining clothing and other supplies that they would need. In September of 2016, you spearheaded an effort to collect clothing, toys, and gift cards for another child in need. You coordinated the donation of clothing and delivery of a bed and dresser to the child who had been placed with his grandmother. Your support and involvement with various community programs have confirmed your compassion for the many families that are in need in our city. You are a true asset to the department because of your hard work and dedication this past year. You have invested time and the commitment needed to provide a superior outcome to all the cases you have worked. Congratulations on an awesome job. Next is a unit citation for a robbery at the Subway restaurant on US 1. Sergeant Steve Helseth, Sergeant Joe Norcus, Officer Ryan Trudeau, Officer Josh Pito, Officer Adam Doty, Officer Nick Sistarelli, Detective Dave Butterworth, Detective Stephen Ruther, then Detective Sheila LaGrega, now Acting Sergeant, Officer Robbie Gibbons, Officer Ben Gaspar, and Officer Doug Norman. Come on down, folks. On August 20th, Sergeant Helseth and Norcus, along with Officers Doty, Gaspar, and Sistarelli, responded to an armed robbery that had occurred at the Subway restaurant located off U.S. Highway 1. Upon arrival, officers were flagged down by a witness who observed 2 males who matched the description of the suspects running to the rear of the plaza. A perimeter was set up, and Canine Officer Gibbons and his partner Dingo searched the area, which led to an apartment complex. However, the suspects were not located at that time. In September 2016, Officers Pito and Trudeau encountered 2 individuals who were in Rotary Park after hours, and they completed a field interview report. A few weeks later, while on patrol, Officers Pito and Norman once again encountered 2 more individuals in Rotary Park after hours. Officer Pito noted that one of the men present was one of the guys from before that he previously field interviewed. Officer Pito discovered that the man had the same facial hair and was wearing the same shoes as one of the suspects wore at the Subway robbery, as shown in the video surveillance. Officers Pito and Norman arrested that guy for drug possession, and the other man was charged with carrying a concealed weapon. Criminal Investigation Division's detectives Butterworth, LaGrega, and Ruther interviewed the men and received a confession that they had committed the robbery. Due to the keen eye of the officers, coupled with the investigative skill of the detectives, charges are forthcoming on both subjects that committed the robbery. Great teamwork, guys. Good work. Now we have a life-saving award for Officer Carl Durbin. Carl, I know you're here. I saw you walk in. Carl, on September 30th, as you were conducting a close patrol of Southwest Curtis and Southwest Irely, you noticed an elderly female lying on her back in the grass in the front of her home. You immediately made contact with the victim and began life-saving interventions to assist her in opening an airway. The elderly female was suffering from complications with her medication in combination with dehydration and heat stroke. If not for your immediate actions, the outcome would not have been resolved in a positive manner. Great job, Carl, and outstanding work. Commendation citation for Officer Robert Meyer, Officer Michael Bianco, Officer Robert Burdick. All right. On September 18th, officers responded to Southwest Kistler Street in reference to a missing person. Upon arrival, contact was made with a man who advised that his wife and her vehicle were missing from the residence. The husband also reported that he had discovered a suicide note prior to the officer's arrival. It was determined that the subject, the wife, had been Baker acted, which is an involuntary psychiatric evaluation for those of you who don't know, prior to this incident for another suicide attempt. Officers promptly began to ping her phone, which showed her in Stewart, near the river. Martin County Sheriff's Office deputies were immediately dispatched and located her in the water with self-inflicted cuts to her arms. The investigative actions and determination to locate this suicidal subject more than likely prevented her death. Congratulations on an outstanding job, guys. A repeat on Detective Steve Ruther. Come on down. Detective Ruther's getting a commendation citation because on June 30th, he was assigned to assist road patrol in a case that involved an adult male who had placed a gun to his head and made threats to kill himself. It was learned that the male who was driving his truck had left the area with his handgun. While coordinating with patrol units to assure the safety of the family that the guy had just left, you obtained an active location track of the subject and eventually located the subject's vehicle at a motel in Fort Pierce. After confirming that the subject had checked into the motel, you contacted the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office and the Fort Pierce Police Department, who set up a perimeter around the subject's room. The assisting agencies advised there would be a substantial time delay before a negotiator could be approved to respond to the scene. However, you decided to contact him by phone and spoke with him for over 25 minutes. While not being a trained negotiator, you were able to establish a relationship with the subject and convinced him to come out of his room without his firearm. The subject was taken into custody and a Baker Act was initiated. The loaded firearm the subject had was located in his room and secured. If not for your professional manner and quick thinking, the subject might possibly have ended his life. Congratulations, Detective Ruther, on an excellent job. An exceptional duty citation for Master Sergeant Steve Helseth. Steve, as the SWAT team commander, you have developed an elite group of individuals into a knowledgeable and disciplined team. You were able to train new team members and ensure they became highly experienced individuals that can handle any incident that is brought before them. Your leadership skills are above reproach, earning you the respect of your peers and the men and women who serve under them. You have guaranteed that the SWAT team is equipped with up-to-date supplies and equipment by purchasing the essential items needed to perform their duties in the most secure manner, while still performing your day-to-day assignment as an NPB sergeant. To better serve the community, the crisis negotiation team was transferred under the SWAT team. You have also assisted in building a tactical operations center. You have displayed the utmost dedication to our organization, and your knowledge of SWAT tactics has made you the go-to person when making essential decisions while running a high-risk scene and implementing an action plan. It's because of these above reasons and so many more that you are most deserving of an exceptional duty citation for this quarter. Thank you, Steve, for your outstanding job performance. Next, Officer Chris Neidl. Come on down for an Exceptional Duty Award. Chris, back on September 5th, Port St. Lucie police officers arrested a male subject for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon after he pulled a gun on his family member. Officers arrived on scene in the 300 block of Southwest Tulip Boulevard for a call where a suspect pointed a gun at a family member. Police learned that the subject was engaged in a heated argument with his 71-year-old mother. As he yelled at his mother in an aggressive manner, his 22-year-old nephew attempted to separate the two. The suspect pushed his nephew, then pulled out a gun and pointed it at his nephew. The suspect fled the house on foot, still armed with the gun. Officer Neidl contacted the suspect on his cell phone and was able to learn the suspect's location. How he got a word in, I don't know, but if you know Chris. After a successful conversation, you were able to convince the suspect to put the gun down and peacefully surrender to police. While negotiating with the subject, you keyed up your police radio so other officers could hear the suspect's location that he had put the gun down. The male was eventually located at the intersection of College Park Drive and Hillsborough Circle, where he was placed into custody without incident and taken to the St. Lucie County Jail. Congratulations, Chris, on an awesome job. The Brian E. Ruther Manager Award, Mary Beth Lee. MBL, congratulations. You've been selected to receive the Brian E. Ruther Manager Award based on nominations received by Administrator Bill May and Officer John Fazio, and I went to add to it and they told me it was already done. During this quarter, you were charged with several projects throughout the department that were both planned and, as usual, unplanned. These projects included the canine training field, the second floor training room, the evidence shed, new vehicles, a large purchase for the SWAT team, ballistic vests, the fingerprinting system, and many more. You spent countless hours to ensure these projects were completed in a timely manner and the quality of work done was above par. Your diligence and perseverance to the department is second to none. Your skill in managing multiple projects at one time from start to finish is a prime example of your dedication to this department. With all of the outstanding contributions you made this quarter, you're most worthy of the department's Brian E. Ruther Manager Award. Congratulations, Mary Beth. Next is the Volunteer of the Quarter for the third quarter, Sherry Bentley. I've been told she's not going to be here, but I'll read this so she can watch it on Channel 20 later. Sherry, congratulations. Based on a nomination submitted by Tom Andrew, you've been selected as a volunteer of the third quarter for 2016. You've been a volunteer with the Port St. Lucie Police Department since March of 2012. You volunteer with the Southwest Community Patrol and more recently as a volunteer parking enforcement specialist. In September, you volunteered to provide escort for contractors working in the police building. This is mandated by FDLE, which is the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, for anyone who hasn't passed a background check. Your presence relieved other employees from this responsibility so they can continue their work. This was a vital asset to the department. You are most professional in your work and represent the Port St. Lucie Police Department in a positive light, and we're most fortunate to have you with us. It's for these above listed reasons you're being awarded Volunteer of the Third Quarter 2016. Congratulations on a job well done. The Civilian of the Quarter is Animal Control Supervisor Brian Lloyd. You can't hide in the back. Come on down. Brian, based on a nomination submitted by Assistant Chief Del Toro, you've been selected as the civilian of the third quarter. During this rating period, you have supervised the entire Animal Control Division without the assistance of another supervisor, due to a supervisory vacancy that had not been filled. In addition to managing 10 employees in every aspect of the Animal Control Division, you oversaw the implementation and completion of numerous projects that included the painting of the exterior and interior of the Animal Control Building, restriping the parking lot, the removal of unnecessary plants from the parking lots and grounds, created a semi-annual line inspection form, and completed semi-annual line inspections of all personnel. And finally, you oversaw the purchase of 7 new animal control vehicles. You're a self-starter who constantly looks for opportunities to improve processes without the need to be instructed to do so. You have taken on the challenge of working by yourself without complaint, and you also maintain a full schedule going to college. It's for the above listed reasons and many more that you're being awarded Civilian of the Quarter for the third quarter 2016. Congratulations. Detective of the Quarter, Kristen Meyer. Come on, you have to come up here. You can't sit in your seat. Kristen, congratulations. In Sergeant Black's nomination, he described you as a knowledgeable and dedicated detective, and you are the go-to person for persons crimes. You are a model detective who's always ready to jump into any investigation. You were the lead detective on multiple cases this quarter, including armed robberies, child abuse, rapes, and missing persons. On June 29th, you responded to an auto parts store in reference to an armed robbery. The armed suspect stole money and property from the store patrons, employees, and the business. During the investigation, the suspects were located in Indian River County and arrested, and after they were arrested, they were interviewed by you and Detective Butterworth. You completed multiple search warrants during this investigation, which helped solidify the investigation, providing a stronger case in court. On July 29th, you responded to a home in southwest Newport Isles in reference to an armed home invasion. During the robbery, the victim was battered, and thousands of dollars worth of electronics was stolen from the residence. After a series of thorough interviews and investigation, the suspects were identified, later arrested, and booked into the St. Lucie County Jail. You recently closed the homicide investigation that occurred at a residence on Southwest Chapman Ave. You diligently worked with the State Attorney's Office for numerous months to be certain of the findings before closing the investigation, since a life was lost as a result of the altercation between the homeowner and the guest. At the end of your investigation, it was determined that no criminal charges were to be filed against the homeowner who was acting in self-defense at the time of the homicide. These are just a few examples of your outstanding investigational skills, and there are many, many more reasons that you're being recognized as the detective of the third quarter. Congratulations, Detective Meyer, on a job well done. Officer of the quarter, Detective Giacone. He was an officer at the time. And now he's back being a detective. Rich, in Sergeant Inigo's nomination, you're described as a reliable, trustworthy, and competent officer. Your work ethic, procedural knowledge, and investigative skills are above reproach. You always assist your fellow officers without hesitation. On August 26th, you were instrumental in the successful resolution on a case that involved the death of a man where the suspect was located and arrested. A small piece of fabric from the victim's clothing was located in a dent in the suspect's vehicle. On September 10th, you followed up on a THI investigation where you noticed one of the calls from jail was not made by the actual suspect, but from another inmate using the suspect's ID. You heard incriminating admissions from the inmate that involved a case with several domestic charges and contacted the State Attorney's Office about the call. You completed a supplement report, and the jail call was provided to the State Attorney to assist in closing the case. During this quarter, you worked a child abuse case where it was determined that the children were accidentally poisoned by household liquids. You resolved this case, and you also resolved the case that involved a suicidal man who threatened to harm his wife. Through a computer search, you identified the man, and ultimately, a Baker Act was initiated. Your diligence resulted in a positive outcome in a situation that could have been potentially volatile. Finally, your thoroughness, in an aggravated battery case that involved a motor vehicle is a testament to the excellence you display in your job. You located the suspect and convinced him to come to the police department for an interview. During the interview, the suspect confessed to the crime. You were also able to develop information from the suspect in regard to an organized scheme to defraud case that involved the suspect and several other individuals. That's why he's a detective again. The above cases demonstrate your outstanding work ethic, knowledge, and fortitude for which you've displayed throughout your time here at the police department, not just this quarter. These reasons are why you're being chosen Officer of the Quarter for the third quarter, and great job, Rich. Sorry to lose you on the road. And now, while we're all here, and people sitting in the front row, all anxious and ready to go, Chief, it's all yours.
Before we get started with the promotional process, I'd like to take a few minutes and address our future leaders. You're here today not because someone has given you this opportunity, but because you've earned it. Earned it through a highly competitive promotional process, your work history, and your reputation. The opportunity to become a leader is not a gift. It's a responsibility. A responsibility you will have to earn each and every day for the rest of your career. You can only lead if someone will follow you. And to inspire others to follow requires a vision or a direction for the future that they can see themselves a part of. Our elected leaders, the City Council, receive input from the citizens of the community. Together, they develop a vision for the future of the city. The vision is carried out by the city manager by setting the policies, the goals, and the objectives for the various departments within this city. The police department plays a very important role in the success of this community as a whole, because without safety and security, the community would not be prosperous. The first line supervisor is where the organizational vision is shared with those who interact with the community on a daily basis. We have a very strong organization. We are one of the safest communities in America, but we all know we can be better. Constant improvement requires organizational change. But change for the sake of making change does not by itself lead to improvement. Managing the direction of the change is the noble calling of leaders. All three of you have the basic skills necessary to be great sergeants, but you are all individuals. You have a very diverse set of special talents, which make you unique. They provide you with the potential to have a unique perspective, which creates diversity. And there is great strength in diversity. But as each of us go about bringing our own unique perspectives to the table, we must be mindful of a broader vision, the goals of this organization, and align our expectations with the organization as a whole. If we do not all pull in one direction together as a team, we will not make any progress. I feel the future of Port St. Lucie is bright. With the continued support and guidance of our City Council, the City Manager, the community, combined with the concerted commitment to customer service and excellence, there is no limit to what the dedicated members of this organization can accomplish or the challenges that we can overcome. So, without further ado, let's promote these fine individuals to sergeant and begin the journey together. Detective Kuba, could you join me, please? I kept looking here for him. He's back there. Detective Matthew Kuba was born in Southampton, New York on March 10th, where he grew up with his parents, Michael and Louise, and two sisters, Suzanne and Lauren. Matthew is married to Michelle, and he has one daughter named Madison and three sons, Anthony, Nicholas, and Christopher. His guests today are his wife, Michelle, his grandmother, Elise, parents Michael and Louise, and his sons, Anthony, Nicholas, and Christopher. Matthew attended 1 year at New York State College, 2 years at Suffolk County Community College, and 6 months training at the New York Police Department Academy. In 2008, he was certified by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement as a police officer. Currently, Matthew is enrolled at Indian River State College and will obtain his Associate of Science degree in December of 2016. Prior to working for the Port St. Lucie Police Department, Matthew worked as a police officer with the New York Police Department. He also worked in the construction industry before his law enforcement career. On April 29, 2008, Matthew took the oath of office to become a police officer with the City of Port St. Lucie. Matthew held a position of police officer with the Neighborhood Policing Bureau and detective in both the Special Investigations and Criminal Investigations divisions. Matthew presently is a defensive tactics instructor. Matthew has received numerous letters of appreciation and recognition. He has also received the following awards during his tenure with the department: 6 unit citations, 2 commendation citations, a Detective of the Quarter in May of 2014, 2 Distinguished Achievement Awards for Safest City, 1 Do Your Job Award, and 1 Civic Award. He was also nominated in 2015 for the ASIS Palm Beach Excellence in Criminal Investigation Award. Detective Kuba is a motivated, accomplished, and dedicated individual. It is my pleasure to promote Matthew Kuba to the rank of sergeant. Mom, could you please join us? Said I smell good, that's why. Congratulations, Sergeant. Detective Sheila LaGrega, would you like to join me? Detective Sheila LaGrega was born on February 3rd, we're not going to do the year. in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Her parents are named Thomas Sr. and Violet. She has a brother named Thomas Jr. and a sister, Wendy. Sheila married Brett in 2004. She has 3 children named Jessica, Edward, and Sean. Sheila is joined by her family and friends. With her today are her husband, Brett, sons Edward and Sean, mother-in-law, Patricia, father and mother-in-law, Michael and Doreen. Sheila received her associate's degree in retail management from Bradford Business School and attended courses at Orleans Technical Institute. She received her Florida Department of Law Enforcement Police Officer Certification and Field Training Officer class from Indian River State College. Sheila attended college courses at Barry University and transferred her credits to Indian River State College, where she plans to receive her bachelor's degree in criminal justice in the near future. Sheila began her career with Allied Security, and after graduation from Bradford Business School, she worked as a retail store manager with Gap Kids. She worked as a securities disbursement examiner for Prudential Insurance, and after relocating to Florida, she began her law enforcement career. Sheila initiated her tenure with the Port St. Lucie Police Department as a police officer when she took her oath of office in October of 2000. She has held the positions of police officer within the Neighborhood Policing Bureau, training and recruiting officer in staff services, and detective within the Criminal Investigations Division. She was a member of the CART team and was a field training officer with Criminal Investigations. Detective LaGrega has received numerous letters of appreciation and recognition. She's also received the following awards during her tenure with the Port St. Lucie Police Department: 9 unit citations, 3 Distinguished Achievement Awards for Safest City, 3 Commendation Citation, 1 POP Award, 2 Civic Awards, 1 Chief's Merit Award for the Hurricanes, and 1 City Certificate of Excellence for the Hurricanes. And she was also the Detective of the Third Quarter in 2015. Detective LaGrega is a well-rounded employee and continuously displays an extraordinary knowledge and understanding of law enforcement. I am most proud to promote her to the rank of sergeant. Ouch.
Can I keep this? Congratulations, Sergeant.
Officer Andrew Lawler, would you like to join me? Officer Andy Lawler was born in Portland, Maine on January the 11th, 1971, to his parents Richard and Barbara, who recently celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. He has a sister named Bethany, a survivor of stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, who he still affectionately refers to as his little sister, despite a two-year age difference. Andy has been happily married to his wife, Claudia, for 16 years, and their pride and joy is their 9-year-old son, Cody. Andy's guests in attendance today are Claudia, Cody, his parents, Rich and Babs, his neighbors, Stan and Lee, who were also present during his swearing in as an officer, and several other close friends. Andy received a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from Bowdoin College in 1993, double majoring in psychology and studio art. That's a unique combination. And went on to obtain his Master of Science degree in early childhood education from Wheelock College in 1997. Prior to beginning his tenure as a police officer with the Port St. Lucie Police Department, Andy had a career as a kindergartner teacher with the Boston Public Schools and taught locally at Windmill Point Elementary for a year when first moving to Florida. During that same year, 2 hurricanes came to Florida. While the schools were closed, Andy volunteered at the water and ice stations every day that it was open. There, he was introduced to Chief John Skinner by several officers and was encouraged to apply with the police department. Andy not only applied, but was offered a sponsorship with the agency, which he enthusiastically accepted. Andy began his career with the Port St. Lucie Police Department in October of 2005 as a police officer cadet and was sworn into office to become a police officer on April 27, 2006. He held the position of police officer with the Neighborhood Policing Bureau, proudly working the midnight shift, and has also worked, which you're going to get another crack at, and he has also worked in the capacity of a school resource officer, assisting with the elementary schools and more recently in the high schools. He also held the ancillary duty of field training officer and temporary assignments as acting sergeant on several occasions. In keeping with his desire to volunteer in his community, he is an active member of the Police Athletic League Board of Directors and can be seen at almost every community event sponsored by our agency. Officer Lawler has received numerous letters of appreciation and recognition. He has also received the following awards during his tenure with the department: 2 unit citations, 2 Distinguished Achievement Awards, 3 civic awards, 1 Administrative Excellence Award, and 1 presidential citation. Officer Lawler is highly committed to his service to the community. He displays an excellent knowledge and understanding of law enforcement, and I am very proud to promote him to the rank of sergeant.
Congratulations, Sergeant.
Sergeant LaGrega and Sergeant Kuba, could you join us up here, please? Each time we swear an officer in, not only do we swear them to the oath of office that's required by state law, but in Port St. Lucie we have a tradition of taking the oath of honor. And the oath of honor goes a little further than the oath of office, and it places a responsibility on us to be honorable and really think about what we do each day and the trust that's placed in us. So I can't think of a more important time to, we'll say, re-up our oath than when we're being promoted or promoting. So if every sworn officer in the building would please join me. On my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will always uphold the Constitution, my community, and the agency I serve. I will. Congratulations. Okay, that concludes our ceremony for today. If you'd like to join us back at the police department, I believe we have some light refreshments in the community room. Thank you. Oh, Frank?